Mo, that doesn't have to be. We have Denise here. Denise is here.
Oh, okay.
But there's no security guard. So we have to.
I called you and I just.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Leonetti?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Alton,
Present.
Commissioner Cretin,
Present.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Present.
Commissioner Lees,
Present.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Present.
Chairman Morelli,
Present.
Commissioner Brooks is absent.
Okay, so I'd just like to make one announcement before we start. Case number 3371, which is 355 East Beach Street. The hearing is closed, but the decision is still pending and will be announced at the December meeting, if anyone's here for that case. Thank you.
Case number 3373, application of Maurice Ryan of 95 Illinois Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance for the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of New York, City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.19A use, 9-105.19C lot area, 9-105.19D building area, 9-105.19G rear yard, 9-105.19I density for a new two-family house at 8 Delaware Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 269, Lot 26 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'm going to introduce a motion to deny the application. And the concerns and complaints of the neighbors notwithstanding, in addition to my concern, is the scope and size of the variances that were requested on this project. So as a result, I vote to deny, move to deny.
Who will second the motion?
I'll second.
Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to deny the application. Commissioner Leonetti has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton?
I'll recuse. I wasn't here.
Commissioner Cretin?
Deny.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant.
Commissioner Lees?
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Deny.
Chairman Morelli?
Deny. So how does that work?
About 33?
32.
Yep. So that application is denied right now because we would need one more vote for a denial. I'm sorry. We would need 4 members of the board to either deny or to approve, but being that we have a split at 3 and 2.
2 and 1.
Or 2 and, I'm sorry, 3, 2, and 1, that application is denied. Sorry. No, I just said to move to next.
Case number 3261, application of Lorraine DeGilio and Barry Esposito of 128 Atlantic Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York, 9-105.6A use, 9-105.6H density, 9-112.1 off-street parking for renewal of 2-year conditional temporary variance for a 2-family use at 128 Atlantic Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 196, Lot 10 of the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening. The applicants are present. Come up, please. Name and address for the record.
Lorraine DeGilio, 128 Atlantic Avenue.
Can you just step up to the mic, please? You can stand if you like. This way it gets on the record better.
Yeah. Lorraine DeGilio, 128 Atlantic Avenue, Long Beach, New York, 11561.
And the gentleman?
Barry Esposito, 128 Atlantic Avenue, Long Beach, New York.
Okay. So basically, you are here for a renewal of a 2-year conditional variance, all right, for 2-family use. Can you please just state for the record, what was the reason for the application the first time around?
We wanted the variance to make it so we could rent an apartment in the house due to financial situation, which hasn't
Okay.
changed.
Now, was this for a family member, or was the conditional variance granted for financial hardship?
For financial hardship.
Okay, so to be clear, when you were granted the first conditional variance, it was to basically alleviate the financial hardship, and you could rent it to anyone that you wanted to without restriction?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So was that the first time that the temporary conditional variance was granted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the 2 years that has elapsed since then, have there been any changes in either the condition, the financial condition, or in the way that the home is divided or used?
No changes at all.
So you would say for the
Either-
record that it is identical
Yes.
in situation, and the home itself structurally and aesthetically is the same as it was 2 years ago, without
Yes, sir.
change?
No changes have been made.
Okay. Have you received any kind of violations or anything like that in the last 2 years?
No, sir. We take excellent care of the house.
Okay.
and
Any
no
members of the board have any
problems.
questions? Anyone in the audience for or against? All right, I'll move to grant.
I'll second.
Case number 3261, application of Lorraine DeGilio and Barry Esposito of 128 Atlantic Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York, 9-105.6A use, 9-105.6H density, 9-112.1 off-street parking for renewal of a 2-year conditional temporary variance for a 2-family use at 128 Atlantic Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 196, Lot 10 of the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to grant. Commissioner Cretin has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton?
Grant.
Commissioner Cretin?
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant.
Commissioner Lees?
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant.
The application has been granted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening.
Case number 3383, application of Breezy Builds LLC, care of Amir El Gindi of 185 West Park Avenue, apartment 512, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York, 9-105.B, height for a new rooftop deck at 78 Illinois Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 58, Block 112, Lot 14, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening. Mr. Geiselman, right?
Yes.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Mark Geiselman, 364 West Fulton Street in Long Beach.
Okay, thanks. So, Mr. Geiselman, a couple of questions before we start. From what I see on the plan, is it that the height you're requesting, excuse me, for the rooftop deck is because of the railing or of the deck itself?
Exactly, the railing.
Okay.
The decking
So the
is on the roof.
railing is what takes it over the code?
Correct. The railing, and there's a barbecue that's going to be.
Now, is the height of that railing necessitated by the code, or are you going in excess of what the minimum is?
The height of the railing is 36 inches, which is required by code.
Okay. Question I have, was this is this home subject of any prior variances?
No,
Okay. Was the rooftop deck installed at present prior to your coming for the variance, and is this the subject of any summons?
I don't believe there is a summons, none that I'm aware of. The rooftop deck has not been installed, but the rail posts have. I know they put the spiral in it.
Okay.
Wouldn't have-
This
but
is
the
a
rail
new
posts have to be
construction or a
done.
raise?
I'm sorry, excuse
New
me.
construction or a raise?
New construction.
When was it built?
It's being finished now.
Was the railing and rooftop deck part of the original plan, or is it an amendment to the
It was
plan?
not. It was an amendment. We didn't include it in the original plan because we knew we were required to get a variance for it, and we wanted to expedite at the start of construction.
Any members of the board have any questions?
I just want to ask you again, so you knew that you were going to have to come to the board for a variance
rooftop deck,
once, but you continued to build it anyway?
They put the posts in because you can't complete the roof without putting the posts in. So I don't believe that the deck is not complete. I don't understand, I don't believe that the deck is complete. Right now is a roof, so the deck is going over a flat roof, but the waterproofing is not the deck, it's the roof. And the rails and the rail posts had to be put in order to make the house watertight, because they go into the roof structure and are attached there.
And the deck, you said, was not part of the original plan submitted to the building department?
Correct.
When did you decide to change the plan?
It was always the intent to do that, to do the rooftop deck, but we wanted to get the house under construction as expeditiously as possible.
There was no way of lowering the roof at all to get the deck kind of sunken in?
It's a flat roof. Yeah, it's with standard ceiling heights. I also wanted to bring up that there are two other houses on the block that have rooftop decks. I don't know their exact height, but I would assume if they're standard 8-foot ceilings, they would have to be in the similar
Right,
situation.
the thing is, and you can check the records, that rooftop decks we're really not fond of. And yes, you can have a rooftop deck as long as you're within code. And I'm pretty sure any rooftop decks that you're looking at on your block are within code.
What we're saying bluntly is that we're not lovers of rooftop decks, and we're less lovers of rooftop decks when the original plans don't show it, but that was part of the plan, because as a board, you know, we don't really like being misled. And it looks to me, to be quite honest, that we were misled. Because if this home were built with any kind of variances, or certainly permits that were approved by the building department, and the intent was to just get the rooftop deck done anyway, it should have really have been presented at the time that the original plans were done, because modifications might have been requested or variances at that time. And, you know, it almost just seems like basically a slap in the face to the board when people come, you know, after the fact, either by summons or by just kind of calculating that, you know, the board will make it right and fix it, and then they come to the board after the fact seeking a variance. I'm sure that I can speak for the board on this, because I know it's something that when we do come across it, you know, we don't have the authority to levy any violations or fines, but it just seems that it's really not the right way to do it.
Well, that certainly wasn't the intent of myself or my client. The intent was only to expedite the beginning of construction of the main house. That's why we filed the deck separately.
Yeah.
But I understand the posts having to be built into the roof, but it looks like you also have the staircase built.
I can't say why they did that.
So you kind of
It's a
have one, except
prefabricated
the deck-
stair.
You have one,
It-
but
Yeah, you have one, but the deck boards aren't down yet. And just to kind of, for the record, some have been passed through the variance process in the early stage when there was a big backlog of people trying to get their houses raised through Sandy, and there was less time to focus, but the feedback after that sometimes was very negative because the noise impact of these rooftop decks in neighborhoods is really tremendous. It's like having a concert. If people are up there, the noise travels very far from the roof. And that's been a problem for us in terms of the feedback.
And stuff falling off the roof as well.
And I know you want to expedite it, but I think you said that it was always the intention to build a rooftop deck, that it should have been in the plans and gone through the process at the beginning, not after the fact. I mean, this is my position.
Yeah, and I would think that at that time when your plans were being made, you knew it was over the code.
Yes, we knew the railing was open.
Okay, so-
Yeah, I think we've hammered the point. At this point, if nobody else has anything else to add, I'm going to open it up to the audience. If anybody has anything they'd like to say for or against, you want to come up. If that's the case, there's no one speaking for or against. Does anybody want to make a motion on this, or do you folks want to think about it?
I'll make a motion to deny.
I'll second it.
You guys said it.
Azevedo, seconded by Venegas. She's nervous, making sure. Not that they like the voice.
Case number 3383, application of Breezy Builds LLC, care of Amir El Gindi of 185 West Park Avenue, apartment 512, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York, N-105.5B, height for a new rooftop deck at 78 Illinois Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 58, Block 112, Lot 14, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Acevedo has introduced a motion to deny the application. Commissioner Lees has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton?
Deny.
Commissioner Cretin?
Deny.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Deny.
Commissioner Lees?
Deny.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Deny.
Chairman Morelli?
Deny.
This application has been denied as stated on the record.
Okay, thank you.
Case number 3384, application of James and Kelly Ann Fruhoff of 511 West Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York, 9-015.3K use, 9-112.1 off-street parking for a 2-year conditional temporary variance for a 2-family use at 511 West Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 19, Lot 28 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening, Chairman Morelli, members of the board. My name is Dennis Kelly, 120 West Park Avenue, Suite 311, Long Beach, New York, 11561. Here on behalf of the applicants, James and Kelly Fruhoff. If I may, Mr. Chairman, I've got a submission for the members of the board. If I could hand it to Melissa. Hand up to you and make it part of the record, please. What Melissa's handing out is a cover letter by me marked personal and confidential, which contains some financial information, specifically account statements from my client's bank for the month of October. If the board requires more information relative to their financial situation, which would be the subject of this variance application, I'd be more than happy, and so would the Fruhoffs, to submit that to you. I also have enclosed, I believe it's 4 photographs of the immediate neighborhood where 511 West Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York is located. I also want to note for the record that in reviewing my prepared application for the variance application, I noticed that I personally mistakenly crossed off that a summons was not involved in this application, and that is not in fact the case. A summons was issued that caused us to bring this application. My clients, James and Kelly Fruhoff, are requesting a 2-year conditional temporary special use permit to allow them to use their single-family home at 511 West Fulton Street as a 2-family home during their ownership and occupation of the home. You have the power to do this, to grant this 2-year special use permit pursuant to Section 20-14F of Chapter 20, Article 3 of our Code of Ordinances, in which it states, you can grant the temporary and conditional permits for a period of 2 years or less for uses and structures in contravention of the requirements of this code or the zoning ordinance of the City of Long Beach. I just want to state a little law because, you know, I don't frequently ask for special use permits, so I actually looked at the law just to see what the standard was in terms of your discretion and what issues you should confront in making a decision. In a case from Nassau County in 1967, which is still good law today, the court said a variance is an authorization to use property for a purpose prohibited by zoning ordinance. And the use, which is authorized by a variance, is not personal or limited to a particular owner of the property, but rather runs with the land. And as to a permit, it's personal to the owner to whom it's granted, and it can cease, such as what we're asking for here, in 2 years unless it's in fact renewed, as you did in the first case this evening. The second department held in the case in 1973, where a zoning ordinance such as here authorizes a special permit subject to administrative approval, that would be you. What's involved is a use which is permitted rather than prescribed by the zoning regulations, and for that reason there is imposed upon the zoning board, the applicant, a duty and burden entirely different than an application for a variance. In the latter case, that would be a variance case, the zoning board's power is to be sparingly exercised and only in rare instances based upon unique circumstances and a showing of hardship. No such proof is required for a special permit. The issuance of a special permit is a duty imposed upon the zoning board once it's shown that the proposed use meets the standards prescribed by the ordinance. And another case from the second department in (1974), again good law, the denial of the special exception permit based on factual findings used to support denial of the variance, slower. The denial, well, Kenny wants me to hurry up. The denial of the special exception permit based on factual findings used to support denial of the variance ignores the fundamental difference between a variance and a special exception permit. The special exception allows the property owner to put his property to a use expressly permitted by the ordinance. The inclusion of the permitted use in the ordinance is tantamount to a legislative finding that the permitted use is in harmony with the general zoning plan and will not adversely affect the neighborhood. Accordingly, the permit should have been granted in that particular case. My client, Kelly Fruhoff, was born here and for the early years of her life lived over on Indiana Avenue, and in 1970 moved from Indiana Avenue to 511 West Fulton Street, the house that we're discussing now. So she's literally lived there for the last 53 years. She moved there obviously with her parents when she was 10 years old. She and her husband James, who's here, both of them are here this evening, purchased the home from Kelly's parents in 2000 and have continued to live there, most recently with her mother, who moved back to the premises in 2006. In fact, Kelly's mother was living at the home when Sandy struck, and the home was devastated by that storm. At that period in time, the Fruhoffs, that being Kelly and James, both relied on Kelly's mother to a certain degree for her financial support in supporting the home. And after the home was devastated, it was rebuilt, and I have photographs that I handed you in that packet, which reflect what the home looks like today. before they moved, or just about at the time that they moved back in 2014, Kelly's mother passed away. Since then, they've been trying to make ends meet. James is a union plumber who works in the city, and Kelly is a licensed real estate agent. What I submitted to you earlier shows a month in which they're falling behind continuously every month. I have more months of financial information in the office. I can also submit tax returns as well as some other documents to support the hardship. Again, I would just reiterate on the record that I hope that information is kept personal and confidential. More importantly, to the granting of this permit is the impact that it'll have on the immediate neighborhood in which the house is located. I'm going to make an argument pretty quickly right now that it won't have an adverse impact on the immediate neighborhood. There's 32 homes on the 500 block of West Fulton Street, 12 of which are two-family homes. They are 518, 527, 524, 535, 544, 548, 550, 555, 559, 560, 564, 568. And as you also know, two-family use is permitted in Residence D.
Okay, you know what, Mr. Kelly, so we understand why basically, this application has come before us. I'm going to make a comment. I reviewed, at least you provided some financials, which many people don't, when they're seeking relief for this nature. Unfortunately, that plight is not that unique, because I know plenty of people that don't have much more in the bank than they do, and unfortunately, many people are struggling, so I get it. The question, a couple of questions that I would have right off the bat is, first of all, are they in any danger? Are they in any danger right now of losing this home? In other words, by foreclosure or anything like that?
No.
Are they up to date on the mortgage
They're up to date on the mortgage.
and taxes?
And taxes.
Their taxes are escrowed into the mortgage, or they pay
They are,
separately?
and I think you see the mortgage payment if you
Right,
look
okay.
at the, yeah.
That's the first question. The second question.
But there are, Chairman Morelli, if I may say, there are other bills that
No,
have
I
gone to the wayside, so to speak. We
No, I
don't know
see it. I
eventually
mean,
what will happen
especially
with those.
Since Sandy, many people have fallen on hard times, and since COVID, even much more so. So I get it. A lot of people live in hand to mouth. But my questions regarding this particular situation is, what is the apartment that they would be renting as the two-family? What size?
Right.
What kind of rent would they be receiving?
Well-
Because I want to make sure that if we were, or I was to vote in favor of it, that I'm going to be doing something that is going to have some sort of impact financially to help alleviate this.
Right. So what I'll do is I'll bring up Kelly and have her put a statement on the record.
Okay.
And give you that information. I will tell you that the reason why we're here, as I indicated in my opening, was that there was a summons issued, and that was because of an illegal tenant on the third floor. The Fruhoffs live on the second floor. There was a vet, a young woman, but a veteran who I believe worked with the Coast Guard, who was their tenant. I think I'll let Kelly explain. She was a good tenant. In fact, she was so good that when Inspector Shue said, you got to, address this issue immediately, there was no landlord-tenant proceeding or anything. She just asked her to leave because she had this issue.
So how did this come to the point of the inspector coming around where the neighbors called or
Yeah.
complained? Okay, got it. Why don't you have
Sure.
your client
Yep.
come up?
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
How long were they renting the apartment prior to inspecting Shu, issuing the summons? How long?
Commissioner
A year,
Lisi,
2 months?
I have no idea.
So when you address that, when they come up and address that, how long, how much are they charging rent? And then I'd also like to see more financial, because I see this as a credit line, so I'm sure they have a banking account or something like that. You
Well,
said
that's
W-2s.
that's it.
That's it. So
Yeah,
they have no-
that's it.
no
And as
account.
you saw, that's maxed out. And then you see, in the last page, Commissioner Creighton, is another bank account, which is like a municipal account, and there's a certain small sum of money every week that goes in there that's part of Mr. Fruhoff's benefits and pay, and that that whole sum for the month, and you can calculate it simply enough, goes into the Citibank account to pay, to add on to the decent-sized mortgage that they have monthly. So that, yeah, that's it for the accounts. What I was offering early on, and I will do it at your request, is other account statements from that to show that it's darn consistent. Yes,
Excuse me. Plans have been submitted with this application as well. So is the plan to change any structure of the house, or is it just, because obviously there's a separate entrance already. There's already a separate unit. Or just to have that separate unit approved on a temporary basis?
It's a great question, and the reason why I say it's a great question is because I don't have the answer to that either. Maybe I'll let Kelly Fruhoff talk to you. I expected more issues, to be honest with you, to come out of the building department than just the two that were cited in the denial letter. So in the denial letter, it's a two-family use and off-street parking. Inspector Shu had noticed other things that he wasn't happy with, like a wall upstairs and a small staircase in the back. I think that was just a permit issue. So there's no other, variance type issue that's involved here. However, to answer your question, in the event that we don't get this, Inspector Shu is going to expect us to move a wall and do a couple of other things.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, folks, come on up. Just give us your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, everyone. Wait. My name is Kelly Spa Fruhoff. We're here tonight to ask to be able to have the special use variance. We need this variance because over the past few years, bills have just built up and built up. What New York Rising told us it would cost to raise our home was underestimated by $100,000, like not a small amount. Did everything by the rules. I used the local architect, and did everything New York Rising told me to do. And we were home 4 months when my mom passed. It's a hardship to keep the house that size at my age. That being said, and when I mean hardship to keep the house at my age financially, I love my house. We built our home and anticipate staying there until the end of our life. We will never sell our home, hopefully, God willing. Any questions you have? I know you were asking about the rent. We were getting, for 2 years, $2,500 a month. It's a one-bedroom unit that, when we were growing up, there was a family room on the second floor in the back. We turned that into our master bedroom. Well, bedroom, it's little. Upstairs, when we rebuilt after Sandy, it was where my mother was living. What she did was there was a huge bedroom in the front. That was her living space. There was another bedroom up there as well that she used for her bedroom, her bathroom, and when we lifted, we included the utility room up there, as opposed to being down where it could be flooded again. It's just been very difficult. Her income helped us a lot. Didn't anticipate it leaving us. We've tried since then to really get through this and make it on our own, and we do. But we do it by several $100s a month. We live a very small life here for now. We try to do everything by the book. I didn't anticipate it being a problem. There are many, many, many people on my block that have two-family homes, legal and illegal. But it was a problem.
You said that you received $2,500 a month.
2,500.
25.
Yeah.
Prior to before it was 2,500, what was it before then? How much was it?
Well, my mother was giving me, like, after Sandy, we split a car because I really didn't want her driving anymore, and so we split a car. She would help with that. But my mom would give me anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a month.
How long was, if you don't mind me asking, how long did your mom live up there?
She lived up there from 2006 until 2014 when she passed, when we got home after Sandy.
Is it still $2,500 rent?
Well, I haven't rented in 9 months. When I found out it was legal and I was summoned, I asked Ashley to move out, and she did, and we removed the door.
How come you didn't come to the board ahead of time to ask permission instead of asking for forgiveness?
It never occurred to me, given the situation on Fulton Street. You know, when everybody's doing it, you don't think it's a big deal. I just didn't see it as, well, Mom's not here. I literally went with the best tenant for my neighbors.
Aren't you in real estate?
I just started. Not I just started. I've been in for years on and off, but I left for a long time to take care of my mother, to deal with the house.
As a part of your real estate license, don't you receive training to become an agent as far as when one-family houses need to be, have variances to become a two-family house?
Absolutely. And again, I'm just starting to study again and do everything. Although I've had my license for some period of time, life took over when my mother got sick, and I wasn't studying and I wasn't selling. I only just started again in the past 18 months.
Okay. Thank you.
Just for the record, so are you looking just to get the temporary variance, or were you trying to get some type of change to the house as well?
I just want a temporary use variance.
In the current
And we
state
have
of
a
the way the
3-year
house is
plan.
right now?
Yes, and we have a 3-year plan. We have, within 3 years, we will be able to self-sustain that house, our mortgage will be done, and we will be okay. But my husband and I can't do anything for 3.5 years with that. So we have to survive for 3 more years. That home, I've lived in for 53 years. I rented it for 2.
So what happens in 3 years that allows you for that to happen?
Excuse me?
What happens in 3.5 years to allow that to happen?
My husband will reach the age of 59.5, and we will have full access to our 401k.
Anybody else?
And just to go over, and I hate doing this, but on the 3rd page of the accounting or whatever, there's a transfer from checking account?
Yes.
You say you have no other...
The
no other
Alliance
accounts.
paperwork that's there, you'll see there's Citibank, there's checking, there's savings, and then Alliance is our union, and money goes in there weekly from my husband's check. It used to be a vacation fund that you got yearly. They switched it to a checking account, and I transfer that money over monthly to meet our mortgage.
Got it.
At this point, I'm going to hear from the audience, if you don't mind.
Just real quick, I just want to say something. That's not the same number. I see the number that you're talking about, because I don't want to talk the numbers, because I don't think it's anyone else's. But I see the number that you're talking about from the top of page 3. But I don't see the small one that's from Checking Plus, and it's definitely not from that account. because there's
Checking
no-
Plus has been depleted from throughout the build. Like, I'm not, Checking Plus is taken automatically from our account monthly. We're putting the money from the credit union to our checking account monthly, not to Checking Plus. Checking Plus builds up to like $500, $800, whatever, and then sometimes it gets depleted again.
Yeah, there's a deposit from that account on October 18th. It's not a lot of money, but it's just, I just want to make sure that if you're saying that there's one account, there's one account. and-
There is one account, yeah.
So, okay. So if you could just, when you get back, just see where that, you can give me the information from that account. Okay.
where it's coming from. I just want to make one point, if I may, Mr. Chairman. I did submit photographs of Washington Boulevard from the bay up to Hudson, just to reflect the availability of parking spaces. And the first photograph in that group of four is where the house is located, which is 3 houses to the west of Washington Boulevard. That parking situation looks very light right now. I can tell you from my own personal experience, having walked it for 22 years, there's all sorts of times of day, every day in the last 23 years, there's always parking available unless we're having a block. So I'm respectfully suggesting to the board that a tenant at 511 West Palm Street is not going to have that.
I'd like to just say, if I may also, having lived there for 53 years, I have an amazing relationship with my neighbors. I have a very good relationship. They're all rooting for me. You know, I wasn't going to impose on them to ask them to come down here. The phone call to the building department was in regards to delivery of material that was for the back deck, which we're addressing now, the back staircase. It wasn't a complaint about my tenant or any kind of disagreements or anything. And as far as the staircase in the back goes, our original architect, Jim Joyce, I didn't understand from the drawings that, because it only had like 2 lines, that he had the stairs facing north. I thought the stairs were facing east, because if they were facing north, they would be in our swimming pool, which we have all permits for and everything done correctly on. So when we built the staircase, we built it facing east, and the building department asked us to readdress it and have Jim bring up new drawings. And that's what's going on with the back deck.
And that won't require a variance, Commissioner Alfredo. I believe it's just a permit.
Right.
Any other members of the board have any questions? Anybody want to speak in favor? Up, please. Come up to the mic. Thanks. We need your name and address.
Marion DeRosa, 94 Tennessee Avenue. Good evening. I'm speaking as a private citizen. I would like to ask for you to approve this variance. Kelly is from a family that grew up in Long Beach, along with many of the original Long Beach people. She lives in her residence and has many memories, both good, bad, happy, and sad. Along with many of us here that have grown up and lived here for 40-plus years, it's become a financial burden to stay here. No one wants to move from our town that they grew up in and love so much, but with bills being the way they are, taxes going up, water going up, everything going up, it's difficult. And you see more and more people having to move out of our wonderful town. So I want to thank you for your consideration, and hopefully you'll grant the variance. Have a good night.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor? Anyone want to speak against? Okay, let it be known that no one spoke against. Does anyone want to make a motion on this, or?
I'll make a motion to grant.
Yeah, I'll second it.
That's the granting of the 2-year temporary variance, conditional variance.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can condition that if you want. I mean, I would second a temporary conditional variance that would be granting the 2-year temporary conditional variance with the proviso that these people remain living in the residence. Yeah, I don't want it to become a rental house. Right. Has to be owner occupied.
Right. Okay.
So then, for the sake of clarifying the record, Chairman Morelli moves, seconds with the condition, and Commissioner Acevedo moves for a 2-year, to grant the temporary 2-year conditional variance upon the condition that the current owners remain the owners of the home.
And occupy.
And occupy.
Owner occupied.
Thank you.
Okay.
Number 3384, application of James and Kelly Ann Fruhoff of 511 West Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York, 9-105.3K use, 9-112.1 off-street parking for a two-conditional temporary, for a 2-year conditional temporary variance for two-family use at 511 West Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 19, Lot 28 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Acevedo has introduced a motion to grant the application
With conditions.
with said conditions stated on the record. Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton?
Recuse.
Commissioner Creighton?
Grant with the condition that they remain owner occupied.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant with said conditions.
Commissioner Lees?
Grant with said conditions.
Commissioner Leonetti?
I like the plan that there is an end to it. It seems like a reasonable plan and the long-standing residents of the applicant, so I would vote to grant with said conditions also.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant with said conditions.
This application has been granted with said conditions stated on the record.
Welcome.
Thank you. Have a good night. You're welcome.
Okay.
Number 3385, application of James Seaman of 52 Kildare Road, Island Park, New York, for a variance for the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York, 9-113.2G off-street parking for new off-street parking in the front yard at 263 West Walnut, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 59, Lot 75 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening, Chairman Morelli. Good evening, Commissioners. Kenneth Apple on behalf of the applicant. My client purchased 263 West Walnut, which is a two-family home. He's here for what we believe to be a reasonable and often requested application to have front yard parking. It's a two-family house. What's unique is his parents actually reside next door. As you know, it's directly around the corner from the Laurel, CVS. There's several parking issues in that area. Being that it's a two-family house and only one car can fit in the driveway that's currently there, he's attempting to alleviate some of the parking conditions for his tenants. What's unique about this application, if you look at the photos, is the curb cut's already there. So he's merely just looking to drive up and park there. If the Google Earth photos included in there, he's looking to match what the exact house next door has, except the house next door has it, and they have a deep driveway, and they can park 4 or 5 cars in the driveway. So the fact that he's looking to just alleviate the parking conditions, allow his tenants to park without taking any off-street parking off the street is unique and obviously not going to set a negative precedent to the board. He's spending money on behalf of his tenants. It's not like he's benefiting it from it personally. He rents the place as it is. And like I said, his parents live next door. So maybe they're benefiting from it. It's not creating a negative impact on the neighborhood. I think it's a positive impact. There's no adverse effect, obviously. I don't see any negative to this. This variance has been regularly granted by the board under especially these circumstances where no spots on the street are being removed. We don't think it's substantial. We're asking for 1 car. It's an 11 by 20 parking space, which is well within code for the parking. Like I said, it's not going to set a negative precedent based on the location. And the application as a whole, I believe the benefits greatly outweigh any detriment to to the neighborhood or to anybody surrounding it. With that in mind, we're respectfully requesting this variance application be granted.
Yeah, Mr. Apples, I just want to ask you a quick question, is that, so when you come into the driveway won't be, the curb cut, I should say, won't be changed in any way?
It's not planning on being changed.
Okay, so where that patch of grass is, that's where the curb cut is going to lead into the parking space?
Yes.
And the car then will be parking parallel to the street?
The car will be parking perpendicular to the street.
Okay. So in that space between that little garden that looks there to the outside, that's where the 20 feet is? There's 20 feet there from that garden, or is that little garden where the little porch is, does that have to be eliminated?
No, I believe that's going to stay right where it is. He's just going to eliminate, I believe it's perpendicular parking because that's the 11 by 20, it's 11.
So as is, they park in front of the garage that's there now?
Correct. One of the tenants parks in front of the garage, and as you can see, only one car can fit there.
Any members of the board have any questions?
No spots on the street are being lost?
No, the curb cut is currently there, and it could be, you can navigate into the driveway onto that spot as it is.
Are the parents in the house just to the west, the one?
Parents are in the house to the east. The house to the west did exactly what we're seeking to do. The parents are in the house to the east, and the house to the west is already done that way. It's going to match it.
So is that curb cut being used by your client and?
Well, it's not being used by my client unless he
No,
parks
and
on-
the person next door.
Yes, that's being
It's
used by
one
them
curb
to go
cut.
into their driveway.
You don't have to expand it at all in order to?
We do not have to extend it now.
So, just looking at the permit that you filed, under the work proposed, it says concrete entire front yard of property.
So I'll explain that. When we put the driveway in, there's only going to be a little patch of grass left. And I know this has been a concern of the board in the past, and I spoke to my client about it. The house directly to the east has exactly that. He was just looking to match it. And to be honest with you, I mean, he could leave it if that's a condition, but the reason he was eliminating it was to match the house next door, and because that little strip of grass is just going to require maintenance. He's not an owner occupant. His tenants are going to park there. There was no intention of putting you can't even put a third car there because the curb cut is enough to navigate the one car there. There's no way you'll be able to get two cars in there without going over the entire curb.
But based on the picture I'm looking right now on Google Maps, there's still grass going into the backyard and whatnot. And if you do drive around town, what people should do and what people shouldn't do occurs on both occurs all the time. So by just concreting the whole front yard, kind of leaves the door open.
Like I said, if it's a sticking point to the board, I'm sure he'll leave a patch of grass, but to go and maintain a little slither of grass was the reason he didn't want to do that. He figured for maintenance purposes, he was going to match the house next door. And like I said, it's not a huge curb cut to get into that 11 by 20 spot. It would be almost impossible to get a second car in there and be able to pull in and out, having another car in there.
I want to see what they see.
If it was a big curb cut, I would understand you've had concerns in the past, Commissioner Leonetti, about multiple cars parking on the front yard. This is the intention of having one car parked there for a tenant.
You still got to maintain the grass by the sidewalk there too, though.
Yes, I get it, but that's a lot.
So I mean, if it's, you got a 3-foot strip here and a 3-foot strip there, it's no difference.
I mean, like I said, if it's a condition, he'll leave it.
Are they planning to do all concrete here?
He was going to concrete it.
So that's aesthetically very unpleasing. If everybody in Long Beach did that, we'd look like Flushing here.
We talked about this, and it just would the reason he was going to do it was he was going to match the house next door. The house next
So
door
why
is
don't we do pavers and leave the grass? It would be a much nicer look.
I mean, he can leave the grass, Commissioner, like I said, he can leave the grass there, with what's left, he'll do the
I
11
think
by
you should
20.
try and do pavers. We've talked about this before, and I think, it should be, if you're going to take all that front yard.
He's offering to leave some grass there, too.
Excuse me?
He's offering to leave some
Yeah, I
grass, too.
understand. I just know concrete, a lot of concrete all over the place is very unattractive. That's the precedent in Long Beach.
I mean, there is a concrete walk there. He would just be
Well,
concreting that
sidewalk,
along.
yeah, I understand.
Well, no, I mean, even, going up to the side of the
Yeah,
house.
but that's a wall.
Right, so he's not taking away a lot of grass with the 11 by 20, if that's what pleases the board.
So the only question I have is in the survey, it says west side curb cut extended to 11 feet and change east side curb cut to 13 feet.
He does not have to change the curb cut, I confirmed it with him today. He can leave the curb cut alone. I don't have that on my application, which that's why it's. Talk about that.
Survey this whole.
I got you. I have it on the application, it doesn't have that.
So there isn't, to be clear for the record, there is no change in the curb cut?
He
then?
doesn't plan to change the
Widening,
curb cut.
changing, nothing?
I had this conversation with him this morning.
Okay.
Will he be able to pull into that spot with the existing curb cut if there's a car parked in that spot in front of it? Because it seems like a pretty narrow spot.
Yes, he's just got to cut into it.
Anybody else? Anybody want to speak in favor or against? Any motion?
I'll make a motion to grant it, but leave the strip of greenery next to the sidewalk there.
I would just add to that no extension of the curb cuts. Confirm that there's no extension to the curb cuts. Because in this application, it says that they're all this way.
Mr. Apple, what's the current curb cut? Do you know the width of it?
I don't know the width of it. I know
The
one of
only
the,
issue with that is that every home in Long Beach can, as of right, have a 25, up to 25 feet of curb cut. So we can't restrict, if there's not 25 feet there now, we can't tell them that just for them specifically, we have to keep.
But this is on the other side of their existing curb cut.
Well, the thing, it's 25 feet total, so you could technically, they could have 12 and a half feet and 12 and a half feet, which I confirmed with the building department this morning.
Right, but if he's asking us for consideration, we can, base it on not changing it.
I don't think that the board can unilaterally make it a stricter provision and make the code stricter. I mean, to something that they could do as of right.
That's why I didn't go into law.
And the notes that are on the survey total 24 feet taken.
I'm sorry?
That it totals 24 feet, it doesn't get up to the 25.
So then with that, I mean,
You'd be all right.
at maximum, they would be able to extend it to 6 inches in each.
Mr. Apple is stating, though, that they're not intending to change the curb cuts.
I understand that.
But you think we can't make it a condition?
If you, considering that Mr. Acevedo said that it's already 24 feet, I mean, I don't think that they're going to extend it by one more foot, but no, I don't think you could.
So can we, if he's asking for 11-foot wide, 20-foot deep driveway, can we say he would have the 11 feet, but the center of the house, he must leave the grass, the greenery there, to maintain that?
Yes.
I'm okay with that. The suggestion you had, Commissioner Leonetti, I don't know per se if that's going to be problematic, leaving the grass on the west side, because the way the car's going to come now into the driveway without changing the curb cut, I might need to go too close to the property line that's put my driveway. But I have no problem with leaving the center, as Commissioner Leach suggested. You were suggesting leaving the strip to the west, right?
The strip along the sidewalk.
Oh, the strip along the sidewalk, I'm sorry. Okay, that's fine. I thought you meant along the west side of the
No,
home.
no, no.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so is anyone going to second the motion, or you did second it?
I was going to second it with the condition.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
You're going to add to the conditions, so.
Yeah, I was gonna add to the
My motion was to grant with the condition of leaving the strip of grass along the sidewalk that wasn't necessary for the concrete pad.
I thought you wanted the grass where the lawn is now.
It's part of the existing lawn next to the sidewalk going to the front door. I'm sorry, the walkway to the front door.
Yeah.
Parallel to the street.
I understood it.
Because if I had it, I'd put all kinds of
Where the tree
bushes and shrubs in it to make it look nicer.
Oh,
Somebody
yeah, that would
might,
Soften the effect of what we're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to be careful with the wording, though, because we really can't, you know, we can give relief of the code, but I don't think we really can restrict the code. So if the code says one thing, we can't really put conditions that are restricting what the code allows. Obviously, we're here to give relief from the code, but not the other way around.
So what does that mean?
Technically, I don't know if we can
I mean,
make that as a condition, right, Council? I mean, if we make it as a condition, it's something that certainly could be.
With respect to the lawn, listen, I mean, for aesthetic purposes, you know, this board has, in the past, on multiple occasions, requested planters be placed, certain greenery, pavers, things along those lines. Simply what I would, you know, and that can be done. What I was saying specifically was, not to belabor the point, but something like the curb cuts. I mean, if the code allows for 25 feet, this board doesn't have the authority to unilaterally alter the code for an individual. It does have the ability to grant relief from the code, but it cannot alter the code itself. Only the city council can do that.
the one thing I will say is I looked at it last night, and there's the house next door, which I think is in the picture. It's not abnormal compared to the area if the house right next door has done the exact same thing. So it's not out of character.
That's where he got the idea, to be honest with you.
Well, we're not crazy, some of us on the board are not crazy about totally paving front yards.
I understand.
It detracts from the community, in my opinion, to totally pave over the front yard.
Mike, do you want some grass between the walkway to the house and the driveway that's being put in?
Yes.
Not just in the front of the house, but, I mean, not just on the sidewalk, but in front of the house.
Yeah. A strip parallel to the walkway to the front of the house.
Maintain a sense of.
Front of the house and along the curb line, both.
No,
Yes.
I wasn't.
What
I
he's
don't see how
saying
they could
is,
do it
confused
along
on what you said.
no, what he's saying is a driveway to the east, a driveway to the west, and
Grass
in
in
between both driveways, a patch of grass.
That's.
On both sides of the walkway.
That's,
No, we're not
That's what
talking,
I'm asking, because there's a patch, if you look at the
Right.
pictures, there's a patch to the south of the walkway, and there's a patch to the north of the walkway. So I'm just trying to understand what we're voting on. Yeah, so not keeping this, and not keeping this, and not keeping this.
I think to simplify it,
Not this.
I think to simplify it, other than his 11 by 20 driveway, he'll leave the grass that's currently on the front of his house where it is. So if there's no grass there now, because you have a walkway, then he's gonna leave it there, he's gonna leave it like that. He'll do his 11 by 20 driveway, and the front of his house, leave the grass as it exists, other than the two driveways, and other than the driveway.
I'm good with that, I'm good with that condition. I'll second
Thank you.
with the condition that, other than what's needed for the driveway, the rest of the grass remains.
he gets his 11 foot.
In between the two driveways, you have a walk and you have some grass. The driveway on the right is adjacent to the walk.
I get what you're saying, I'm just saying this, it's not worth talking about anymore. There's grass here, and there's grass there. I'm trying to figure out if you're saying both, or what.
Both.
Right, I'm saying both.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
not worried about the grass on the property line.
All right, so I was saying this should stay and that should stay.
They're not proposing to take this on, and they can't anyway, that's not even their property. So what I'm talking about is,
That's what I was trying to figure out. We're
No,
talking
that's-
south and north, or we just?
no, that's not an issue because it's not even their property. Yes, I'm talking about, yes.
How do we figure that out? How's that? How's second with the condition?
We're gonna put our driveway in, and everything that's there now grass-wise is gonna stay
Yeah.
the way it is.
Whatever the history of the second store, of the house next door is, I don't know, but
I don't either, but that's where he got the
I don't want
idea
this to
from.
be the future of our Long Beach, you know, landscape.
That's why it came up in my conversations with him. I had a feeling that this was gonna come up, but I just wanted to explain that that's where he got the idea from. This guy hurried Dennis up.
So how do you want to phrase the
Well, the way I said it
granting?
at first, I'm in favor of
granting with the condition that no more grass be removed than necessary to put that pad in, and that parallel to the walk to the front door, that the grass remain there.
I'll second that.
We like not to pave over the town, but we also like to be able to provide parking for people too, so.
Case number 3385, application of James Seaman of 52 Kildare Road, Island Park, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York, N-113.2G off-street parking for new off-street parking in the front yard at 263 West Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 59, Lot 75, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Leonetti has introduced a motion with the condition leaving the existing grass on the property will remain.
Adjacent to the,
I'm sorry,
adjacent to the walkway.
adjacent to the walkway.
With the condition as outlined by Commissioner Leonetti.
With condition as outlined by Commissioner Leonetti. Commissioner Creighton has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Creighton?
Grant with said conditions. Condition.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant with said conditions.
Commissioner Lees?
Grant with set conditions.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant with said conditions.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant with conditions as outlined.
This application has been granted with outlined conditions.
Thank you.
Nice job, Melissa. Call the next one.
Number 3386, application of Kevin Dunn of 610 West Hudson Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York, 9-113.2G off-street parking for new off-street parking in the front yard at 610 West Hudson Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 10, Lot 33, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good
Kevin
evening,
Dunn,
Mr. Dunn.
610 West Hudson.
Name and address, please.
Kevin Dunn, 610 West Hudson.
Okay. So can you please outline, it looks like you're looking for a parking pad of 2 spaces, 19 by 30, is that correct?
Correct.
Existing curb cut, no redo?
Correct.
Okay. And I'm looking for a photo or...
Yeah, I apologize. I realized with the application, I did print one. Sorry, only one copy before, but you could see the existing driveway curb cut and where the approved plans are today for a new curb cut and a new driveway and a new pad. Preference is to use the existing curb cut and just have 2 cars in parallel.
Okay, so
Perpendicular-
right now,
perpendicular to the street.
where I'm looking at the front of the house, and I see the red car that's in the driveway,
Yeah.
right? So where are those spots going to be in relation to that car?
So they'll be parallel, so that car is pulled all the way up to the front of the house. We want to put shrubbery around the foundation of the house.
Okay.
But we want the 2 cars to be wide, the driveway is wide enough, I'm told we have enough space to put 2 side by side.
Okay.
With the existing curb cut. The
So
approved plans
basically-
today, sorry to interrupt you, the approved plans today call for a new curb cut, removal of that tree, which we also don't want to do, and a new pad that goes towards the back and side of the house.
Okay, so basically then, is that space that's on the right side of the house going to remain?
Yes, the existing driveway where that car is, yes. Same curb cut, same driveway, we want a black top and make it so it's wide enough for the 2 cars to fit side by side.
Okay, so you're going to widen that
Towards the
spot
house.
right now, but then I'm not following as to what's going to be done on the left side of the house.
Nothing.
Okay.
I want
So
that to
area
remain.
that's
I have-
recessed.
Sorry to interrupt you, we have a garden there.
So he's just widening
I hear
this.
you.
and putting the cars side by side over here. Okay, so just to be clear, where you have the cement driveway right now, and you've got the red little SUV there, you're gonna be parking an SUV there, and you're gonna be parking another car right next to it,
Correct.
to its left,
I'm sorry?
to its left,
Yes.
as you're looking at the front of the house?
Yes.
Okay. So then what will happen with the rest of the grass area, or what was grass? You're going to blacktop that entire area?
I don't know the exact dimension off the top of my head, not the entire front lawn, but enough to meet the requirements in Long Beach to have a wide enough driveway, which I'm told I have the space. I think, is it 18 feet or
25 feet was the number we were talking about before.
is wide enough to do that? And then I want to keep the grass on the left side of the picture that you see, keep the tree, my garden's there, more shrubbery.
Okay, to be clear, that tree is not getting cut.
I do
That
not
young-
want to
the young
remove that.
tree
If
that's
I
on the
would-
left side of the house is not
In the
getting-
existing approved plans, I would have to remove the tree, do a new curb cut. I don't want to touch any of that.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
Yes,
So you're keeping it as is?
correct.
All right.
Very far. So this plan calls for new pavers where you have lawn now, is that right?
A walkway to get from those stairs to the driveway. So you can see the existing walkway is off-center from the stairs because the way the house was built, the stairs moved over. So we'll have new pavers that come to the driveway. So there's a walkway to the driveway.
Okay, because the plan just indicates that that whole area of grass is going to be pavers, is what this plan makes it look like.
Okay, no, I mean, it's a walkway to get from the driveway to the stairs. I want as much grass as possible.
Yeah, I think it was just a mistake on the drawing.
And what's the current width of the current driveway?
Sorry, I don't know, I only have the survey. I had a standard driveway, I mean, I don't want to modify the driveway. The street was redone, West Hudson 600 was redone 4 years ago, I want to say, 5 years ago, and I don't want to change that curb cut, it's brand new.
Looks like it's 13.4 and a half.
Yeah.
And then they're extending it 5.9 and a half. And just to clarify one more time, the curb cut on the other end of the house will be deleted. You won't do a curb cut. That remains, okay.
I don't want to do another curb cut. The contractor, everybody I've spoken to said that curb cut is wide enough, sufficient, and less expensive than just keep the same driveway, just make it wider.
Okay, so I think everyone's questions have been answered. Anyone want to speak in favor or against? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant.
I'll second.
Joe, do we need to make the condition that the other curb cut is deleted, since it is in the plans, or no?
Yeah, I would.
So, okay, so I'll make a motion to grant with the condition that the other curb cut is deleted.
I'll second as well.
Case number 3386, application of Kevin Dunn of 610 West Hudson Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York, 9-113.2G off-street parking for new off-street parking in the front yard at 610 West Hudson Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 10, Lot 33 of the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Creighton has introduced a motion to grant the applications with said conditions as stated on the record. Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton?
Grant with said conditions.
Commissioner Creighton?
Grant with said conditions.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant with said conditions.
Commissioner Leese?
Grant with set conditions.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant with said conditions.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant, said conditions.
This application has been granted with said conditions as stated on the record.
Thank you.
Home stretch.
Number 3387, application of Brendan Donahue of 92 Virginia Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York, 9-105.5C, front yard, for a new front yard deck at 92 Virginia Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 234, Lot 8 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening. Name and address, please.
Good evening. Rebecca Weavers, 143 East Park Avenue, Weavers, representing Gallinaro Design Architecture. So we are here on behalf of the homeowner requesting a front yard variance for the deck to be 1 foot from the property line. The proposed posts are 3.4 feet back from the property line, and the deck cantilevers over the supports. That is the only request that we're asking. This was a new home that was constructed without any other required variances. And the initial submission that we submitted showed that this deck would require a variance.
Okay, just a couple of questions. How far from the house does the deck protrude? How wide is it?
So the deck protrudes out 9 feet from the house.
Okay. And how wide does it go?
So on the second and third floor, the overall length of the deck is 12 feet 4 inches in order to have a stair on the north side to access those decks.
And how many floors of decks are there, two?
There is the second and third floor, and then there is the rooftop deck that you walk out from the mezzanine.
And that was built without a variance?
Correct.
Okay, so basically, you're looking to bring a 9-foot deck out to within 1 foot of the property line with the stanchions. On the drawing, it looks like the stanchions are out as far as the deck. Well, maybe not. The stanchions are, the columns are 2 feet from the end of the deck, am I correct?
So it does say 2 foot 4 inches that you're reading from the post. However, that is to the face of the deck, and the face of the deck is 1 foot back from the property line.
All right, so that's standard as to what the board has approved for raises. This is a new construction, though, as you said, right?
Yes, it is.
There's also a roof deck on top of this?
That is correct.
That you're looking for the variance also, to extend
Correct.
out to the...
No.
Well,
No
the
variance
roof, I'm sorry,
That's
sir,
built
I
by
don't mean to
code.
interrupt
Well,
you.
the roof deck is part of the variance because it extends, it projects from the house.
Yes, it does extend to the same extent as the other decks below. With your question before, I thought you were referring to if the house itself was built without a variance, and it was. The rooftop deck height and everything didn't require any variances.
So there is an existing roof deck now?
It's in construction right now. It's not, the post supports and the header are up for that. And if, in the case of this not being approved, the header is dropped, so it's easily to chop the ends off if necessary. But as I previously stated, this also was shown on the initial request for the house on the initial drawings.
What was shown on the original?
All of the deck itself and the rooftop deck, everything that you're seeing here was shown on the initial drawings that were approved.
Then why are you looking for a variance?
It's on the plot plan, the area that's hatched, we always show what we're planning to do for the future as to not feel like we're hiding anything. So we put that note as proposed deck will require a variance to be filed under separate application.
I see. So the floor plan for the roof, is it, if this new roof deck doesn't project out the 9 feet like the rest of it, is there still a roof deck?
Yes.
But it'd be smaller?
Correct.
How big would that be?
If you can, I don't have the exact dimension here, because I don't have the drawings for the full house in front of me, but the mezzanine area is 1/3 of the floor below, so the 2/3 of the rest of the house is that rooftop deck.
Okay. And the railing, I guess it's kind of a combination of parapet and railing.
Yeah.
is solid as opposed to...
Yeah, the only the rooftop deck has a solid wall, the other decks are
Yeah,
all
I see that, yeah.
regular rails. Which if that is an issue, that's something that we could talk to the owner about.
Just trying to understand what it's going to look like.
Understood.
It will be a bit of more of a mass.
Right,
up
as
there.
far as see for the neighbors.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
Mr.
Any
Alton?
questions?
Mr. Alton has it, you got a roof deck here too, right?
Yeah, but apparently it's not part of the variance, correct?
The only thing that's part of it is the extent out that it goes, nothing with the height.
Prefer not have that, and I'm looking at it.
All three decks are part of the variance.
Excuse me?
All three decks are part of the variance.
So the roof deck, I would not be happy.
Yeah, we could take off the extension on the roof deck. But then they would need a variance for that, right?
We would still
If we were to
require.
take off the top of the roof deck that protrudes past the house line.
Right, the only
That-
the only
that
variance
would
they're
still
looking
be
for right
no-
now
my
is for the
question
three decks.
Right,
The
but-
the part of the roof deck that's not projecting would still be okay.
Right, it's fine. So I would be more in favor of getting rid of that projection of the roof deck. I mean, there seems to be enough space with it, with the deck as it is, within the confines of the parapets without going
Yeah, and that would be
to the
kind of
front.
in line with what we're.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks massive when you look at the front of the house, to have three decks up there, one being a roof deck. It just seems less intrusive if we just had the two, and they would still be able to enjoy some sort of rooftop view.
Understood.
That's my feeling.
Okay.
Anyone else, anyone in the audience? For or against? Come on up.
Good evening, Dennis Kelly, 120 West Park Avenue, Suite 311, Long Beach, New York, 11561. I represent Ann D. Bartolo, and with full disclosure, my mother lives across the street at 89 Virginia. My sister owns that house now because my mother's 93. Across the street at 90 is my sister's mother-in-law, who's with me here this evening, Andy Bartolo, and my brother-in-law is here as well this evening, Joe D. Bartolo. I have some letters that, unbeknownst to me, my mother and my sister wrote that they would like submitted to the board relative to the deck. Thank you. Yes. And I also have photographs for everyone. I should have handed them to Melissa at the same time. I'm getting a little punchy. Melissa? I'm sorry. No, that's my fault. So just so the board knows, I went to the location this afternoon and took a couple of photographs just to take a look, to see what it looked like after having looked at the drawings up on the fifth floor. One of my concerns with the drawings was the mass of it. It looked like it was an extension of the entire house. And maybe you looked at it, I looked at it quickly, so maybe you've had a chance to look at it in more depth on the drawing, that happened to have openings in it. And then it looked like it had 3 staircases going all the way up. So it's not, when we think of decks, as you can see, 90 Virginia is the house on the right in the photograph. That's Mrs. Di Bartolo's house. The top is a little recessed and the deck is out. She and her husband, who has since passed away, Joe Di Bartolo, bought the empty lot to be near my sister's house because they have a grandson. And they did so by code. They did everything that they were supposed to do, and this wasn't long ago, 5, 6 years. What's being proposed here is going to diminish that view of the channel. And as a result, it's going to diminish the value of 90 Virginia Avenue. And if you haven't, and I'm sure most of you have, if you haven't been on a deck on a wide block like, and it may even be the case in narrow blocks, on a wide block like Virginia, there was a time when they were all basically uniform, and as a result, you could have a pretty good view down the block. And they remember also the old homes, and I'm not suggesting that we should have these now. The porch, the deck was, 5 steps up from the sidewalk, and then, the house was set back a little bit. These homes, I have to suggest, and I know we've been granting, and the 1-foot variance, but
You've been on both sides of this.
what's that?
You've been on both sides of
You
this.
you do this long
Where it
enough,
didn't
you're on
affect
both sides of
everyone
everything, you
else.
know that. But my sister called me and said, "You better go," so I'm here.
That,
Okay.
that being noted, because you're fulfilling the obligation.
But truthfully.
No, I understand.
I think you even alluded to it,
Yeah,
Mr.
no,
Chairman.
no,
It's just the front of the house looks like it just came all the way out to the property
I
line.
think that, to be quite honest, I think that the front of the house with that rooftop extension certainly looks massive. But I think that, for the other two, Dennis, quite frankly, we've approved this almost routinely on new constructions as well as lifts. I mean, there was a time that we were more apt to approve them on lifts, but there have been almost universal approvals on new constructions as well. And I think, even some cases in the last years, I remember you're coming before the board and saying that an 8 or a 9-foot protrusion in front of the house allows for, a table and chairs. That if you've got like a 5-foot or a 6-foot, you can't really move around. And so 8 or 9 has really kind of become the standard. I think we may have even allowed up to 10, and then we started cutting it back from there. So I think personally, I know that, your in-laws would certainly not like to have their view impinged, but in my opinion, we can't penalize people by not giving them what we've granted almost routinely.
I understand.
But the third floor's got to go, in my opinion.
Okay, I understand that, but maybe I think Ms. Marchuk, referenced this possibility of, and I'll let, the DiBartolos speak for themselves, open it up a little bit. Here's the other thing, I'm making an argument that this is directly detrimental to a neighbor, right? So they come in and they build their house and they do everything that they're supposed to do, and they can walk out and have their cup of coffee and look at that channel every morning, and now, boof, that's gone. And the boof that's gone doesn't mean just like, oh, darn it, I can't see the channel. It means the house is worth less because someone else had a variance and then built
Yeah,
something
but
incredibly
in all-
dense.
But in all fairness, the people that would have come and look at their house 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, they wouldn't have known what it looked like beforehand. So if they like the house, they're gonna pay what they're gonna pay for the house, whether or not they've lost 16% of the view because they didn't see it when that house wasn't there. So in other words, my feeling is that when someone comes and sees that home, it looks like a beautiful home, they're gonna pay what they were gonna pay because they didn't see it beforehand, and rather than have a crummy house that might have been next to it that was a piece of junk, they're gonna have a beautiful home next door to them, which the argument could be made will increase their value,
Right.
So, people, we tend to complain about all these other, problems that Sandy created where, there's no parking in the West End on the side streets because everybody's got, all these curb cuts and everything else. But to be frank, many of these homes that were falling apart, Sandy did them a favor because now these blocks have many beautiful homes on them. So the thing is, whether the view was 5 feet off the ground and now the homes have these big decks that come, I think on the balance, many of these homes have gone up tremendously in value because they've been renovated, rebuilt, and new homes.
Oh, no doubt. Listen, you and I are not going to disagree at
what
all
I'm
about
saying to you is
that.
I
We
respect
literally are talking about
Yeah,
a
yeah,
foot,
what I'm
right?
saying
We're
is that
talking
I
about 2
respectfully
feet.
don't necessarily buy the argument that going forward down the road, it's going to devalue the house because you could balance that off with saying they've got a beautiful home now right next door and not some rundown bungalow, so.
Well, the other thing I will tell you, just so I know, because my mother's experienced this on the other side. Now you have these massive decks, and you have a ton of people out on the deck, not only blocking your view, but it's not the cup of coffee or quiet dinner anymore, right? And now we're talking 3 decks. What is that all about?
But in all honesty, the deck, the house doesn't go back out further than the deck, than your house's deck. I mean, it's a deck against a deck, so I mean, you should be able to see straight through the other person's deck. And
Well,
still see the ocean just as much as
you,
before.
first off,
And how people use it, if there's people out on the deck partying and everything like that, that has nothing to do with them. I mean, whether someone's out on the deck and standing there instead of just having coffee.
Right.
That's not something.
But
we should
what
be
I'm
doing.
highlighting, I don't necessarily disagree with you either, Commissioner, but what I'm highlighting is that the density, the mass of this is not, these are not decks. These are almost rooms.
But in all fairness, though, this photograph cuts off here, and when I look at the house on Google Earth, next to this house, it's a tiny little bungalow. So, I mean, the people that are to the side of this house, you know.
Yeah, but hold a second, that house,
they're
90
being
Virginia
towered
is
over by this
within
house.
code.
Also, huh?
90 Virginia is within code.
Right.
Right.
But
No,
I'm
but-
saying, if we're gonna say that they're cutting off, you know, the view of this, I'm certainly sure that when this was built and raised, this dramatically cut the view of this.
But that 90 Virginia was built pursuant to the same code that the other one was,
I get
except
it.
for the
I
the
understand.
FEMA compliant.
You get my point. My point is that everybody post-Sandy, certainly people that didn't raise, they have had their views cut down by all the big homes that have been built. I don't see that what they're asking, in my opinion, is dramatically out of what the board has approved, you know, going down the road. It would really be fair all of a sudden to pick their house as the first house that we're not going to approve based on what we have approved. But that third floor doesn't need to be there. That rooftop deck should not be extended like that, in my opinion.
So I will let the DeBartolo speak.
Okay, sure.
Maybe I haven't been here for all of them, Mr. Chairman. Maybe you've had the immediate neighbor turn around and say, well, wait a second, you're hurting me, you know?
No, but we welcome them,
Okay.
we welcome them to voice their concerns, and they have every right to do that.
Okay.
And I would welcome their comments.
Thank you.
Come on up, folks.
I have some questions about how the photo relates to the elevation. I'm talking to the architect, I think.
It looks like it's, it doesn't look like it's a foot.
Oh, you can have it. Here, thank you. You can take that, right? Thank you. Done. No, it's okay. Let me see if I have it.
3386.
Yeah. I think I have that in my, I didn't take it in my packet, 3386. Anybody else have it? Because I don't have it. I'll check the other ones too. Yeah, I really didn't open many of them up. I don't have the thing. Wait, let's see.
The only photos that I have been done are part of the package.
Is this the one? Yeah, no, I don't have that at 3386. I'll look at 3386 again. Let's go.
No, what I'm saying, the only things that I have in 3386 are what was included in our packet.
Yeah.
It's diagrams, I don't have.
Yeah, I didn't even take that one apart. I still have the paper clip on it. I don't have that.
That's saying that we did it.
So what Ms. Weavers is saying,
Tell you
Ms.
what,
Weavers,
I don't have
is that by right, they can build that rooftop deck out within 3 feet of the property line. I'm not sure if that's correct or not.
No, we're still giving variances.
Sorry?
Well, I think we're still giving variances, right? To do that 1 foot, 3 foot.
Yes. She's saying by right that it can, that deck,
No, he was saying 3 feet is basically where the posts are. If I went back to the post line, then I would be at the right.
Oh,
So the front setback is 3 feet?
I thought it was 10 foot. What's that?
Yeah, I'd like to get, some more feedback from
Yeah, I-
the building department on that. Front yard setback 10 feet.
Spindles, you're not blocking it.
The second and third floor decks are shown as open windows, is it required for the rooftop deck to not be open windows?
Well, I think the rooftop deck is difficult anyway, but I mean, I'm just thinking about the view.
Oh, well, that's good.
Because people actually put more like planks inside, it's really, and I don't even know that's our role, I'm just talking about being respectful, right?
Understood. What I was talking to Julie and Lenny about was that the line of where the posts are shown on the drawing is actually the as-of-right line. So when you were discussing the rooftop deck, coming to that, it would only have to go back to the line of the post, not necessarily the house.
Yeah, but this picture may be deceiving, it looks like it's not a foot back, is it foot back?
It is. What you're seeing here is means and methods of construction for scaffolding and other outdoor.
It's a scaffold, the second one up there.
I wish you all tonight, looking at it, I didn't think it was structural yet.
Okay, all right. Right.
I see how she's reading the letter, because that's what it says, 3 feet with an open front porch. Now, I don't know how that would apply to these decks that are built up where they are. I don't think, I think these decks are more than 3 feet.
I've done this design with rooftop deck at 3 feet back with many instances and gone through without.
In Long Beach?
Correct.
Even roof?
Yeah.
Going back a little while? Because a lot of roofs got through before we started, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, understood. As far as height, I totally get that.
It's not like that's the standard moving forward, it's not like, it's a given.
Right, understood. However, the 3 foot for rooftop deck, without requiring the height thing, that's gone through every time.
Yeah, it's not, the rooftop deck issue has, people are allowed to have rooftop decks. It's when they ask for the height variance that it comes to a problem.
Yeah, even if it's just the railing.
Right.
You know, I mean, if
So
we
that's not the
approve
case here.
some,
This got a height variance, didn't it?
No.
no, there's no height
Doesn't
variance.
even need a-
No, what they're asking for is what we have routinely been granting. 3 foot, 1 foot post.
Yeah, I mean, we're belaboring this
structure.
because there's some opposition, but otherwise, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, this would have gone through already.
So even though.
I mean, except for possibly the third level.
So I'm listening to everyone about the third level. I don't know if we have a right to tell them move it back because it's really the same as floors number 1 and 2. It's at the 3 foot, 1 foot.
Well, my
setbacks
feeling
that
is
we've
since
been
we're giving relief, right, they're here for relief even for 1 and 2, we have a right to basically modify that plan as we want. I mean, so if somebody's building something that perhaps could be perceived as excessive, I think it's within our jurisdiction to say we'll allow 1 and 2, but not 3. I don't see why that would be a legal issue.
I think that it would probably behoove the board at this point to possibly hold this open for voting and allow us the month to consult with the building
Yeah,
department.
I definitely want to hear more from the building department.
Yeah.
Because every deck that comes before us, we grant 9-foot decks all the time.
Yeah.
1 foot off the property line. But I've never heard that they could go out
Okay.
within 3 feet of the sidewalk by right. I'm not familiar with that.
It hasn't been by
With
right.
an open porch.
Yeah.
I'm sorry? I know that's what it states.
Yeah, that's why
I
we need
think-
some clarification from the building
I
department.
think what we need to do is to basically consult with the building department, review also the law. I personally don't see an issue, but the law, the code might say otherwise, that we can approve 1 and 2, but not approve 3. I see a distinction, I mean, because honestly, there's certainly an aesthetic distinction. 3 is closed off, it's a rooftop deck, which even though is allowable because it's within the code height, the aesthetics of it may be different
If
in
we're
terms of
reading
the way
from
it affects.
if we're reading from the letter, it does say open, so that,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be a question, whether we could make it
All right,
closed.
so I think that, to be fair, this case is going to remain open until voting. If anybody wants to submit anything to the record,
I don't know
obviously,
if it would make any
you have
sense
a
for
month
you
to
guys
do it.
to try and collaborate a little bit either.
So, I mean, the architect and Rebecca are two of my favorite people in the world. I've done a lot of work with them. I've been trying to reach Joe Gallinaro, he's out of town. So I would just, yes, I will, we will. We definitely will. And I think I even know the applicant.
Building department thing, you collaborate a little bit and.
Right. I just need the DeBartelos to get on the record. 'cause
No, I
they-
understand, I certainly understand why they would be concerned, obviously, that's not just because they're family. I mean, there have been people that have come before the board and said, if you allow this deck, it's gonna look like, and I remember one elderly gentleman, I don't remember the case specifically, but he was like, when I'm sitting in front of my house and I look up and down my block now, all I see is a straight line of decks going up and down the street. And I felt sorry for him, but I remember we ended up approving the case even over his opposition, because yes, he had a point, because he didn't have that. And every other house on the block did, so we couldn't penalize his neighbor because, it would have been one house closer to him that had the deck. So my point is that even though your family members, are concerned about it, we kind of have to be also consistent with what we've been approving. I just have an issue with the third level. I mean, personally, I want to know what the legality of the third level is. Okay?
May I ask a question or two?
Sure, of course.
May I ask a question?
Of course.
What's your name on the record?
Your
My
name and
name is
address.
Andy Bartolo, and I live at 90
Sure.
Virginia Avenue in Long Beach.
Okay.
And my question is, are they going to be open decks, or are they going to be like little rooms? And number one. Number two, do they all have to be larger than the code? Can't they just make the top decks larger, maybe, and the ones that are in level with mine be the code, like mine? That's all. Seems reasonable.
I think it would be
Okay.
more difficult for us to not allow it on the first floor than it would be for us to not allow it on the third floor. And the reason I say that is because we've been granting those almost as a right to date. For us, it would be arbitrary for us to say.
I
this
know.
on the board.
I hear you loud and clear, but I just wanted to know I didn't know there were 3 decks coming.
And we're gonna look into that with the building
Yeah, we're gonna
department,
look into
and
You know.
you'll all
And I would
talk.
suggest also.
Not that that's an issue. What's an issue is the visible, what's visible and what's not.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to clarify, the decks will be open, and they are the only 9 by 12 on those 2 levels, which, as you stated, is really allowable just to get a table and chairs in there.
Plus you have stairs that
Yes.
scissor, so you can't.
Correct. So the initial design did have a stair going to the rooftop deck, which we took off because of the obstruction it would be of the view. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So as I stated, this case will remain open for voting. If anybody wants to, submit any kind of documentation, obviously you have time, or any changes, you want to amend the plan, especially in regards to the third deck, I mean, anything. I wanna
Did
thank
somebody
everyone.
suggest that they maybe conference amongst themselves? Oh, okay, oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, I want to thank everyone for attending this meeting. I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you all. Do we know, what is the date of the next meeting? The date, is it the 21st? I think it's the 21st. Okay, very good, so thank you, folks. Have a good evening, everyone.
I'm sure you'll get your chance soon enough, my friend.
Thanks a lot.
Good job.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you called it better than mine. Huh?
So I'll confirm with the building department. I'll confirm with the building department